Hi, Danette. Thank you for your well-written and comprehensive description of the course students and goals. Here's some thoughts and some feedback. I teach a similar class, digital media and curriculum integration, and I like your meaningful learning framework. I Two that I use are TPAC and SAMR, and also the meaningful learning framework here is something that I'd like to explore further and love to touch base with you about this course at some point. It seems we're both swimming in the same waters here, and I like the poison reference with every rose has its thorn. Nice. Yeah, there is always that challenge working with someone else that you're trying to you know guide their teaching online experience, right? And I use something I call the velvet hammer, and I'm sure you've heard of that, right? So I look for something they've done really well, compliment them, talk about how one possibility is working on something that can continue to strengthen our students, right? So and move them in that direction. And often I do a this or that, where I'll say, hey, let's say, you have this suggestion, you want to give them some information and you want to move them into a particular direction, but they're thinking it's just fine. So sometimes I'll bring students in and I'll collect these, right? Someone says, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to, I'm thinking about doing this, but I like it this way. I'll bring students in and say, hey, here is one side of the screen and here's another. We have a big screen in our conference area, and I bring the students in and I sit 5 or 6 of them around. I say, okay, here's one look at an assignment, and here's another. I said, do you like this or that? And I'll have pizza at the table. They'll come over, get some pizza, grab a Coke, come over, and I'll go through a litany of things with them. Page layout, module layout, you like welcome videos, this or that. What do you think speaks best to student experience? And at the end of it, it'll be, and ask them to write some things down and give some feedback. So then I have found that faculty that I have worked with are much more reticent to not do something if students want them to. So, for example, say a faculty member always wants to, I want to always have a quiz and I want to make it multiple choice. Well, if they hear student feedback concerning that students would prefer a case study or they would prefer open answers or different approaches, they're much more likely to hear me and see me as being an advocate for helping them better serve their students than just seeing me trying to critique their approach to pedagogy, and they might be a little more not offended, but a little less amenable to my feedback on that. So another thing that I would like to see is what your student feedback is. What have students said so far about your course? And what are some of the things that they like? And so that you can continue to celebrate what you're doing well and to see if there's anything that you could work on. And I'm also glad that you let your personality come through. I think it's really important. So let's take a look at your Oscar rubric here. Have some thoughts here. Your orientation video to weekly to the modules, that can play to your strength because this is another opportunity for you to let your personality come through at the beginning of each module and kind of build on what you already do well in the course. And there are some other areas that you've looked at for minor revision. And accessibility, because exploring technology tools, this is a challenge. And most universities are working towards being fully accessible, but knowing that we're kind of always behind, right? And that is just a challenge. And what I try to do is we use Flipgrid, VoiceThread, and we use a host of options that I've already vetted that I think are evidence-based. And I encourage faculty members to start there. Always start with the outcome in mind, but then some of the tools that they pick that can be enveloped in universal design. And you have the text is formatted with titles. Yeah, one thing that you can do is you can work with your Office of Accessibility, and you can even Google this and find this, but there is a Word format and a PowerPoint and a PDF format that you can use as a template that is accessible and will be read by a Word reader. And I think that was it as far as big things and opportunities to read your own learning. Yeah, I read through your response there, and it looks like you they are working on projects, and so it doesn't necessarily. And I think you've already addressed there then that student has a chance to assess their own learning or provide input or show greater and demonstrate agency towards their learning. And what is meant by time response is like time exam. Yeah, that is what it means. So it looks like it's a non-applicable. And in your QCTIP, you've pretty much nailed that. I think you have, and most have a good sense of the teaching part of it. And hopefully this feedback has been helpful. And if there's any questions that you have, please let me know.